it's RNG whether you get a faster or a slower. Oh, there's the bite. Oh no, that's like the worst thing that could happen. No.
Oh no.
That's a rough tackle. That is. Ooh. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Ouch. That's rough.
We'll talk about it once we get there.
I like the dance that's happening right there though. What is up, everybody? My name is Hazeblade, and I am joined by Tate. You can say hello.
Hello.
And
I'm a Finnish speedrunner.
Oh yes. Yeah. So two professional speedrunners. We're going to be taking a look at Resident Evil 2 Remake, run on console. We have a Claire A speedrun that we're going to be checking out. And without further ado, I'll give us a countdown. 3, 2, 1, begin.
There we go.
So PlayStation 4, I believe, is what we're running on based on the tooltips that were on there. But Trey and I both run on console. Or sorry, we run on PC, actually. Yeah. And the route is probably going to be a little bit different because there's definitely some memes that we have to deal with that are related to frame rate. So, yeah, but we both have pretty much been speedrunning RE2 for just over a year now. Now that RE3 is out, we have both retired this game. But yeah, we always start off at the gas station. Who's waiting for us in the gas station there, Trey?
Yeah, our favorite local gas station memer, Frank. He's quite the run stopper at the beginning, but let's see how he deals with the first obstacle here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've had days where it's just hours of resetting the gas station, so it's always a fun time to watch other people struggle with the gas station. He actually had a good shot there, though. That was good.
Yeah.
I think
obviously, since we're PC runners, there's a little bit of difference with also aiming on console might be a little bit harder, and yeah,
I think for me specifically, I think aiming with the controller is a lot more challenging than using a mouse. The other thing too, when you're sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like a different kind of feel for it, and yeah,
for sure. But yeah, one thing that's interesting too, and a console may not struggle with this as much, but that menu at the beginning when you use the key on that door right after you shoot Frank, there's always like that input delay on that door. Whereas on console, since you're using the D-pad for that, I wonder how different that is. Because sometimes you can use the keyboard if you're using mouse and keyboard. Sometimes it's faster, but like I know the fastest way technically is to use a mouse. So.
Indeed. So we can already see a little bit of deviance here. Normally, a lot of the top runners, that's Claire. We like to get hurt at the beginning of the game because Claire actually runs faster on caution. And there's a really specific zombie in the beginning that gives really fast bites to get us on caution. But here we're just running on fine, which is a bit slower, but it's also safer.
Right.
So
right. Yeah, I would say pretty much regardless of what difficulty you're on, maybe with the exception of New Game Plus, being in fine is nice because it makes the run a lot easier, but pretty much with the caution strat, there's no forgiveness for Claire. If you take, I think it's one bite is all you get, unless it's on the stairs, then it's over. As far as going into danger. And once you're in danger, especially when you're on an optimized, segment of the run, it's pretty much over if if you get knocked into danger.
Indeed.
It's kind of a nice contrast.
It's just that's another. When
you compare it to RE3.
That's another layer. If you play caution strat, you need to have a healing on you at all times in case things go wrong.
Right, yeah, I remember. It looks like the pause strat wasn't used in this room either, which if you're running on RTA, it doesn't really matter because it's the timer that triggers the zombie in that room to spawn is RTA based. But if you pause the game there, if you're going for lower IGT when that zombie breaks through the door, he breaks through a second faster on the in-game timer.
Indeed.
Shoutouts to Waifu, by the way, for finding that by accident. There were construction workers outside of his house, and he paused the game. And all of a sudden, Callahan just busts through the door instantaneously.
Yeah. What a coincidence.
I think the caution memes in this are a nice contrast to RE3, though, because, I mean, obviously, we're still optimizing Resident Evil 3 right now, but the benefit of being in caution is much lesser in terms of the actual speed bonus in RE3. So in this game with Claire, like, you're zooming in caution, whereas with Jill, it's just a teeny tiny bit faster.
Yeah, in this game especially, caution actually allows you to do a lot of riskier run-bys. Like some of the zombies just can't catch you compared to like if you're on fine, they grab you a lot more. So
Yeah, I've noticed that
it's gonna be a little bit different.
Yeah, it almost like throws their AI off when you're kind of treading right on the line when passing a zombie of whether they could grab you or not.
Yeah.
It seems like the game tends to favor you in caution in RE2. Whereas in RE3 it doesn't matter. If you're even anywhere close, it's over.
Yeah.
There are no forgiveness. Iframes
Right,
do
the
not
hard
exist in
shot here.
RE3.
Indeed. So this zombie on the stairs is quite the hard shot usually.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Many of runs have died there.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that can happen with that zombie. He'll either fall over the railing, you'll shoot him and his head will explode, or he'll just grab you for no reason.
Yeah.
It was good execution, though. It was a good job.
Oh, interesting. He's grabbing the bag early.
Right, yeah, because normally you would
It's
fall
a
through the
little
floor.
bit of a...
Yep.
Yeah. It's a little bit slower stuff. I don't know if that's actually... Maybe not necessary. I think your inventory is usually fine.
Yeah, I think it may just
That
be...
you don't need to grab that.
He may just be playing it safe.
Yeah, we will see. We need to see like if he actually grabs a lot of safety heals or some stuff like that, then it's really obviously better to grab it now.
Right, and I don't remember...
Make sure you have enough inventory.
I don't remember if this run was on a PS4 Pro or a base PS4. So that might change things depending on whether the knife is going to be included in the run or not. Maybe that pouch is more valuable.
Yeah. So there's the first goal of the run here is to get 3 medallions, and there's like these puzzles you need to go through. They're always the solution is the same, but each of the dial is in random rotation. So you need to memorize and remember what is the solution, and then you just gotta rotate it until you get it right.
Right.
It can never start from the like right solution. So that's at least one rotation every single time, but...
Right. I'm curious to see what Callahan is the police officer zombie in this room, for those of you watching that have not heard of this zombie's name before. But I'm curious to see what he's going to do when Claire opens the door.
Yeah. Is he right behind the door, or...
Right.
Do we have the good RNG?
Oh, that's really, really nice. Yeah. Yeah, that zombie can do a lot of different things. He's one of the memer zombies in this run, and he can either be like right in front of the door and bite you the second you open the door, or he'll be on the clear other side of the hallway, and sometimes you won't even see him because he's just not there.
Yeah. So far, looking pretty great. We have not been beaten, and
yeah, this is a fairly decent pace so far. And like I said, I don't know what the pacing is like translated over to console, but generally, as long as you're pretty quick to solving the medallion puzzles and you're not getting bit, those two things are pretty much the hardest part of the first 10 minutes of the run, is that those solutions, as Trey mentioned before, they're totally random, and you'll never have a puzzle that's already solved for you when you open it up. So it's RNG whether you get a faster or a slower... Oh, there's the bite.
oh, yeah.
But it'll always be
Our
random
favorite
there.
zombie
So
bagel.
there we go, using the bolt cutters.
Indeed.
Oh,
So we currently only have... Okay, so doing some menuing there, discarding the items that you don't need.
Yep.
Picking up a flash.
Yeah, the menuing from what we're seeing so far is a little bit less than optimal, but it also depends on what your strategy is too. And I think that more often than not, you'll find yourself wanting to discard items in situations where you would otherwise already be in the menu. But in this particular case, since they've got extra pouches and stuff like that, they were able to kind of postpone the discarding until later, since the extra inventory slots weren't interfering with the inventory. But also what's important in this game too, if you're trying to be as optimal as possible, you want key items to be in the slots that are closest to slot 1, which slot 1 is the top left corner, and then it goes, the top row is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next row is 5, 6, 7, 8. So slots 1, 2, and 5 and 6 are the best spots to have items for use, so that way you can get to them quickly. I would imagine that's even more so important on console, because you don't have the mouse where you can just swipe your mouse across the screen and have access to other items in your inventory. That was a really fast puzzle. That was really good job.
Yeah, good puzzle, and also clean liquor. The liquor didn't do anything bad, which can be quite the annoyance.
Yeah, liquors change their AI depending on whether you look at them or not. So sometimes you can actually just stare a liquor down, and they will. You'll stare a liquor down, and they will pretty much just stop what they're doing and turn back and run the other way.
Yeah, they're a bit camera shy, you could say.
They definitely have their moments, though, where they'll still be really mean and aggressive, even when you do look at them.
Indeed. So we're going for the third and the last medallion here.
Yep. One other thing that's kind of unfortunate in this game is when you're moving really fast, sometimes the game has a tendency to just not register inputs. And the higher frame rate you have, the less of a window it has to do that. So I imagine on a console where you're pretty much limited to at the highest 60 FPS, but if you're on a base console, it's even less than that. It's very easy for those inputs to get basically swallowed, and then you have to input again just to, you know, rotate a dial for the medallion puzzles or to access something in your inventory or discard an item.
Yeah. We saw a little bit of a... So, going down the ladder, you get some iframes, so the zombies just will miss you when they try to grab you going down the ladder, like it happened here. But he also did the shelf pull after going down the ladder, which you usually do it before you go grab the last medallion, but...
Right.
It worked out this time around. Might be a little bit riskier the way he did.
Yep.
But...
All in all, though, that was a pretty clean RPD1. And now we're going to be approaching the first boss of the game. Let's see how well it goes.
Indeed. I'm curious to see the strats here.
Oh, yeah. Have you watched any console runs before, Trey?
I personally stuck mainly to PC. I have watched some console runners, but I've never like sat down and watched like a whole run. So
Gotcha. So one thing with the items in this game, specifically we're going to be talking about the knife. So on PC, you're pretty much exclusively going to knife this boss, which it looks like the knife strat is being used here. So maybe this is a PS4 Pro. Because I thought... I thought there was a
pretty
different
sure
strat,
knife
but...
is still gonna be the main way to do all the... Well, at least the first boss fight, regardless of your frame rate, because it just saves so much ammo and you have to pick up a lot less items.
Could be. I've never actually paid too much attention to base consoles. Since we don't have a ton of people running on them, but yeah, the knife is bound to frame rate in this game. So basically, the higher frame rate you have, the more hits the knife registers. So when you're playing on PC and you have 120 FPS, this boss dies in like optimally, what, Trey, 11 slashes for Claire?
Well, I'd say 14, but yeah.
I think Waifu's got.
If you get lucky, you can get 11, but.
Yep, but on console, since you have lower frame rate, it does take a little bit longer, but knife is, as you can see here, the most optimal way.
I think it depends on the console, so it can be between like 30 and 45 swings, which is a lot compared to 15, but
right.
on PC, but it still saves a lot of time compared to having to pick up a lot of extra ammo and shooting and reloading slowly and...
So we've got another pouch pickup coming up here. So again, it looks like a lot of safe strats are being used on this run, which that's perfectly okay. And I would say really like in any marathon setting, I would always recommend to grab the pouches. More often than not, the pouches, the main ones that we skip, some of them aren't that far away that if you take the extra, I think that one's only 4 seconds or so to detour for that pouch. 2 extra inventory spaces, especially when you're running an optimal route, is very useful if you want to carry extra health or any sort of extra ammo or other useful items.
Okay, let's see how he deals with the liquor section here. The Kennel liquors.
Oh yes. These liquors are mostly free on the way getting the diamond key, but on the way back, not so much. As long as you take the optimal line going through the first time, it's pretty free for the most part, but on the way back is not so much.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see also how he manipulates the last liquor. There is a few ways to do it, but let's see what the strats are here.
And we are in caution now too, so this might actually help a lot with this room.
Indeed, indeed.
Very nice. Halfway there. Oh, man.
A little bit of a leak into danger, but we have the
good use of the herb there, yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, the grab. Yeah, what you can do on this hallway is you can actually turn and face towards the wall on Claire's left and sort of aim down the sights while you're sidestepping, and that liquor will try to lunge at you and miss 100% of the time.
It's kind of hard to explain, and the liquor behavior is kind of weird, but for some reason the liquor wants to jump in front of you when you're kind of aiming backwards and moving towards the liquor, and then you get this kind of run past him and let him do his thing.
Right.
A lot of the liquor and behavior is related to camera angles, so you can kind of manipulate it, but it's kind of hard to go really in depth of how it kind of works. As even we don't always kind of understand how it works, but
we just kind of do it because we just know it works.
We just kind of do it.
Don't know how it works, it just does. So let's just, we'll just roll with that.
Indeed.
But
yeah, from now on, it looks like we're gonna be on caution. Also, we most likely we're only gonna be seeing green herbs from now on. Just to stay on caution, maybe. We'll see though.
Right.
So we've dealt with the first boss, so this is now the RPD2 section of the run, and
we have a little surprise coming here in just a couple minutes, don't we?
Indeed. There's
quite a few.
A special someone.
Oh yes.
Waiting behind a helicopter, indeed.
I always make fun of the zombie that's in this room because it's the same face as Callahan, the zombie that kind of trolls in the first half of RPD 1, and he's just got a bomber's jacket on this time, and he moved upstairs.
Oh, that was close.
So this section is just a lot of grabbing key items. It's kind of essentially just a big setup for the second half of this section, because you have to grab power components in order to gain access to a key card to get out of the RPD. But there's a lot of other things that you have to do in order to get the second part. So not only are we grabbing parts here, but we're also grabbing other things to use to get the other part that we need to get out of RPD. So there's a lot of inventory management happening in this section. But for Claire, she actually gets to skip past this little shack that's over here, since she does not need the club key for her route.
Indeed. So Leon and Claire has slightly different route during RPD, but later on it kind of becomes the same, except the boss fights change a little bit, but...
Right. Here's that special someone.
Indeed. Let's see how...
Let's see the execution here.
With...
Nice.
Bait the punch. Run past.
There's a lot of different ways that you can dodge Mr. X. On standard, he's actually really, really slow. So you can either do exactly what was done here, where you kind of juke him a little bit, sort of like a football strat, I guess. The other way is you can actually stand a certain distance away and aim at his either center mass or at his head, and he will do like a lunging punch attack at you. And if you just run forward through him, it will dodge 100% of the time. Very consistent strategy there.
Yeah, the lunging punch has like a really late hit animation, so you kind of have time to kind of run through Mr. X while he's doing the lunge.
Oh man, the bad luck bears in the or the bad news bears in that room there. There's a lot of different types of enemies in that room, where you have zombies, you have lickers, and they're all kind of over the place. And sometimes Mr. X will be in there I think that's mostly on hardcore where he'll end up in there. But it can be a bit of a pain.
Oh, nice shot.
That was a very good shot. Now he's actually getting very good luck with Mr. X. So usually you run into Mr. X by now, but in this particular case, he was actually able to get all the way up these stairs without seeing him. But Mr. X's placement in this part of our RPD is kind of random. but he can sometimes end up in the room where all those enemies were that I was talking about before. But he can also end up in the room where that nice shot came off, the west office. Otherwise, he can end up on the stairs, he can end up in the middle of the main hall of the RPD, or he can be like completely nowhere to be found. Oh man, the bites are coming in left and right at this point.
Yeah. But luckily we do have a heal to stay on caution.
Yep.
And get health back up.
Yeah, it looks like they're playing
There's
it pretty
another
safe.
heal coming up
so
here.
Pretty much always have a heal, and there's a heal up here too. I'm wondering if he's gonna grab it.
I would guess so. I wonder what he's gonna do with the flashes though. He's gonna save them for like the next boss fight. It's kind of far away,
maybe
but I have
sewers.
no
I
idea
know that
yet.
there's some sewer movement on hardcore that's better. Perhaps for safety, for this run, it's being used for standard.
Yeah, you're gonna have to wait and see though.
So like you would grab a flash grenade in hardcore in the sewer section where you're grabbing all the plugs, the king and the queen plug, where you get the spark shot. You can throw a flash grenade there and it's a lot more easy to complete that room. Otherwise you have two incredibly fast zombies and not a lot of room to maneuver around. So it's possible that it could be used for something like that, because once you start getting towards the end game, zombies start becoming a lot faster and more aggressive, which in this case, since they've taken a lot of damage, the DA, which is a dynamic difficulty system built into the game, so it looks like he does take the health. The dynamic difficulty system will, depending on how well or how poorly you play, it will adjust the difficulty to match your skill set. So if you're not getting bit, but you're landing a lot of shots and you're using the knife to kill bosses, your DA ramps up very, very quickly. Whereas if you aren't playing as well, then you can even get to the end of the game without having to experience too many difficult challenges whatsoever. So it'll be interesting to see, based on how this run has been, by taking a lot of bites, but also picking up extra flash grenades and health, where the DA is actually sitting in this case.
Indeed, indeed.
And on PC, we have the speedrun tool, which shows us the DA. We don't have a way of knowing it on console because there's no plugin for that on console. So coming up on another puzzle.
The only way you would know your DA is kind of doing the run as optimally always and kind of comparing it on PC, but it's not like
even then
exact.
It wouldn't be exact. It'd be off by probably less than 100 points, but pretty close. That was a pretty quick puzzle.
Yeah, so that puzzle also is like a preset puzzle. So you just gotta know the right things to rotate, and you can do it pretty fast.
Yep. No RNG on that puzzle, but there is plenty of it on this one.
Oh, indeed.
So all of these pieces are rotated differently when you open them up. Now, you're always going to move the first one over 2 and put it in the third slot, but everything else is totally random about this puzzle in terms of how many rotations you have to do. But they actually got really good luck on this puzzle.
This is a puzzle which, in the best case scenario, can be solved after we just move the first puzzle, first piece to the third slot.
The speedrunner's dream.
I've only got it in. Yeah, I've gotten only it once in like 2,500 hours of playing this game.
Yeah, I think I've only got it once as well. I think I have a clip of it. I don't think I got it in my current PB, but it was one of my more recent PBs that I got it. And it was, it's very satisfying when you get it. You do the one where you move it over, but then you only have to do one rotation is pretty common though. Like you might have to move one of the blocks, 1 or 2 over, or up and down. I've seen that a lot.
I guess so. I guess it's more common, obviously, but yeah.
But
it's kind of hard to put it on perspective if you've ran this game a lot. It feels like it never happens.
Yeah,
but...
and the funny thing is, like, when you're going from 1 rotation to, like, 3 or 4, it feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I'm losing 2 seconds over just a quick rotation of something that shouldn't take that long. And that's the crazy thing.
So this whole series...
Go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, this whole series section is kind of you gotta wait a lot. After this moment, now it's just, we gotta run, we gotta hide a little bit. So this is usually the resting spot of the run. Well, people may do whatever. I occasionally juggle during this part of the run.
Yep. But, there's plenty of downtime, especially in this room coming up right here.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that
We also
stream their gameplay, though, this is like the best part of the run to just hang out with chat for a few minutes because there's nothing else going on. Well, in your case, you're juggling, so that's a whole different situation. But this is a great time for me to catch up on chat, which is funny because I probably spend, in my runs, I probably spend 90% of my attention on chat and 10% on the run, which is probably why I don't PB very often.
Yeah. That's how I learned. I focused more on the chat, and then I eventually was able to actually get a lot of world records even on this game while mainly focusing on chat. But it comes just down to a lot of practice and knowing.
Yeah, a lot of muscle memory for sure.
Yeah.
Which fortunately during this section you don't really have to do anything.
Yeah.
You gotta run
at this
around
point,
a little bit, but you can't make this section go any faster. So
if you actually know the exact spots on this, you don't even need to crouch at all. You can just stand the whole section.
Oh yeah.
Not a lot of people do it. It's a little bit of a show off, but I do it when I juggle. So
the worst part is when you do that and you get the bad RNG. It's not even RNG. It's all based on where you're placed, but you're off by like a pixel and he sees you and you're just like, no. When I first played through the game, this is the spot that I stood in, and I wasn't all the way up against the wall, and he totally saw me, and it was over.
Yeah.
My first playthrough was on hardcore, though, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So this also is affected, the Chief Irons here is affected by difficulty as well. So on standard, he's quite blind. On hardcore though, he got laser eyes, so even one glimpse at you and you're caught.
Right.
This is one of the earlier hiding spots we used to do here, but there's a kind of a convenient spot near the door where just Chief Irish doesn't see you, so you can grab the key a bit faster.
Yeah, where those Legos are stacked up right by the door to the bathroom, you can stand like right at the end of those Legos. There's like a big tall blue stack of Legos. If you stand right next to those, he won't be able to see you. Pretty much for that entire sequence.
Yeah. But we're heading at the end of the sherry section. And here's Johnny.
Yep. This game actually took a lot of inspiration from classic horror, and it's very evident just looking at the behaviors of some of the NPCs that you interact with in the game, that like there's a lot of like Shining references, and like RE7 even had a lot of Evil Dead references and things like that. You can tell that the dev teams that work on these games pay a lot of attention to pop culture and horror and things like that, with how they do cutscenes and some of the scripted sequences.
Indeed, indeed. But yeah, now we're going back to Claire, and now we gotta go.
So after all that, we finally got the key to leave the police station.
Yes. And now we gonna go ahead and save Sherry, or try to save Sherry from the
bad man.
orphanage. Yes. Orphanage, the bad man.
Yep. This is kind of an interesting session because there's a bit of a time lapse because they move you around in time to play Sherry's section, and then they move you back to the current time to resume playing as Claire. So there's a bit of a time skip there, but basically the Sherry section that you play, I think it takes place like 30 minutes or so prior to this section that you're playing in now, and then you basically get caught up by completing Sherry's section. So the idea is while you're gathering all the stuff when Mr. X first shows up and you're getting the parts to do the puzzle and all that, that's when the Sherry section is actually taking place. And now you're on your way there, and the aftermath of what happens at the end of the Sherry from like a lower standpoint happens when you get there.
Indeed. And we just left RPD, which is the first big section of the game.
Now this is a real run, right?
Yes, this is the real run now.
We always make a joke in the speedrun community that it's not an actual run until you leave the police station, because there's so many things that can happen that are just instant run enders. And once you get to a point when you optimize the run enough, there's some things that you're just not willing to take out of RPD in terms of time loss. So once you actually have a run that you're happy with out of RPD, that's when you really start grinding to try to get a better time or a world record. There's just so many things that can happen in RPD to throw your time off.
This street section here is filled with dogs, but the dog AI is kind of... Usually you just kind of run towards them and they kind of just miss or don't even try to go for you, so...
Yeah, the way that they work, and I actually think that just looking at the way they worked in Resident Evil 3 after playing through that was very different. In this game, they can really only run in a straight line and try to attack you in a straight line. And they have to turn and face another direction before they can try to hit you again. In RE3, that's like not the case. Yeah. I've seen them hit me from some crazy angles outside of the substation.
Indeed.
They have some crazy moves. They definitely have had some tweaking with RE3 for sure, but they're very... We like to joke and say that they're free in this game. They're definitely not, but they're mostly free.
They're mostly free. There's one particular dog at the very end there, which is kind of annoying, but...
Yeah, when you're coming off the bus, sometimes it's kind of... That one is probably the most RNG out of all of the dogs in the game, for sure.
Yeah.
Justice has been served. Oh, man. Indeed. That was a very disgusting cutscene to watch the first time when Irons met his fate, but... Oh, uh-oh. Some rough movement there.
Yeah, the ladder. You kind of have to angle yourself looking at the ladder properly, otherwise it's kind of a... weird.
Yeah, they stuck the ladder in like the corner of the room, so you have to be standing in a certain spot to get the tooltip to be able to interact with the ladder.
Yeah.
But
in this section, it's kind of funny how Sherry yelling is behind you when Sherry is about to be caught up by Mr. X. But
yep. So now we are entering the sewers. The streets of Raccoon City are not featured very heavily in this game, so you pretty much go straight from the RPD, a very quick street section, and then you're right in the sewers.
Yeah, so this usually is considered the second part of the run. I'd say there's 3 parts in total, which is the RPD, and then we have sewers here. We're gonna talk about the third part when we get there, but...
Yeah, we're actually just over the halfway mark. I believe the cutscene where Irons meets his end, that's like almost exactly the halfway point of the run. Like when you enter the orphanage, like give or take a couple seconds, pretty much entering the orphanage as Claire is the halfway point of the run. So we're just over the halfway mark, but the sewers present a new challenge that we're going to be seeing here that is quite the run ender, even when you have a decent run going. This room is pretty challenging. I'm interested to see how this one is. Nice.
All right.
There's a couple ways of approaching this room. You can bait a lunge and run through them. You can shoot the first zombie and then run through the second one. For some reason, the lunge like just doesn't hit you even when he tries to lunge. So there's a few different ways of doing that room, but that was pretty good execution overall.
Indeed, indeed. We haven't really talked about it, but there's this technique called stair skating, which has been used a lot in every staircase here, which is basically when you tap the aim when going on stairs, cancels the kind of slow walking animation on stairs and gives you like couple running speed steps instead. So that's why you can see the crosshair coming on stairs, like here for example. You should be able to see the crosshair come up.
Yep.
He's doing a little bit of a fast rhythm, too fast of a rhythm for the optimal stair skates, but it still is beneficial than just not aiming at all on stairs.
Right. Yeah, so when you stair skate with Claire, the pace is naturally a little bit faster. For some reason in Caution, because the animations are different, it does change the rhythm slightly. So with Leon's, it's a little bit more laid back, whereas with Claire's, it's a little bit faster. But you don't want to do it too fast, otherwise it kind of negates the benefit of doing stair skating in the first place.
Indeed. So we saw a little bit of a glimpse of the new enemies introduced here, the G adults, and this one isn't the big problem yet, but once we get to the Oregon Trail, things are gonna get interesting.
very quickly.
Yes, very quickly.
So, looks like they just picked up the first plug. So the goal of the sewer section is that you have to find these plugs. And there's a puzzle that follows it, which we'll be seeing here in just a few minutes. But these plugs are essentially a power source for a door that needs to be opened. So that way we can get to Sherry. And you pretty much have to go all over the sewers finding these plugs. So this one is the first one, which when you're casually playing through the game, this plug is super annoying because it raises a bridge that gives you access to other parts of the sewers. So it's actually normally one of the last plugs that you get in a casual playthrough because you want to get access to other parts of the sewers and be able to get to a few different areas that have some more impressive upgrades for your character. But in the speedrun, we just skip all of that. We don't need any of that. And we're just going to go straight into the more difficult sections.
Indeed. Yes, gotta go fast. So this is the lovely Oregon Trail, which has a lot of geodules, and they tend to cause a lot of dead runs, because one grab usually means you lose 20 seconds at least. So
oh yeah, here we go.
And sometimes they just kill the runs. All right.
Nice, very nice. Oh, going for the YOLO.
How's the second Nadal?
Very well done.
Oh, wow. The second Giald was sleeping.
Oh yeah, you want that kind of luck every single time.
Indeed.
Now I am curious.
The second Giald is. Yeah.
I am curious if frame rate has something to do with that, because we know that other AI, like for other enemies, sometimes changes based on frame rate. So I'm wondering if the lower frame rate actually helps with that line specifically for console.
Yeah, it could be. I think the enemy reaction is based also of frame rate, where they kind of react slower to you on the lower frame rate. So I think it might be a little bit helpful even.
Right. So this was the room that I was thinking that the flash grenade might be used for, because there's not really a lot of room to move around. But since we're on standard, it might not be as necessary. But I think there's still 2 flash grenades in the inventory.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if he's using them for G2, because that fight can be
yeah, that's
hard.
true. Because sometimes what people do, I've seen it in people, especially that are just kind of learning the run and they want to do strats safely, they'll throw a flash grenade as the crane is coming back, just to make sure that he doesn't do that insta charge, where he doesn't roar, he'll just immediately start sprinting at you. So maybe this has something to do with that. It's just kind of playing it safe.
Yeah. We're just gonna have to wait and see when the flashes come in use.
Or maybe it's for maybe it's for the final
also
section.
It could be just oh,
the liquor memes maybe.
It could be. Also, it's an extra safety in case you get crapped here, I guess.
Yep.
But
I do want to talk about that real
now
quick.
You have...
So that Geodult that was shot there, when it opens its mouth to vomit out the embryos like it did, you can actually run straight through that. So that spark shot there wasn't really necessary. You could have actually just run right around the Geodult there and avoided all of that without having to use ammo.
Indeed. So on that previous section, we didn't really have time to talk, but we grabbed our only other, well, actually it's not the only other weapon, but it's one of the main weapons we're gonna use on the next few boss fights here, and it's quite powerful and also stuns the Geodules in case you need to get past them. But
yeah, the spark
it's
shot
quite a
is
powerful weapon.
Definitely a hidden gem for sure, because in the original version of Resident Evil 2 it was garbage. And in this game, it's in Claire's arsenal, it is arguably the most powerful weapon in her arsenal, especially once you get the upgrade for it, which is going to happen here probably very soon.
Yes,
because it basically cuts the amount of time in half that you need to use it.
Yes, so this is where we need the chest block pieces to finish the puzzle to get access to Sherry. But it's never that simple, is it?
Yeah, why there got to be so many puzzles?
Yeah.
Actually, I shouldn't say that, because Resident Evil 3 had no puzzles, so...
Oh, yeah, it did.
Hashtag need more puzzles.
Yeah. We thought we had too many, but now we have too few.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny, because if you mess up the puzzle a few times, Claire will actually make a comment about how she's, terrible at this.
Yeah. So we're about to enter the second boss fight here.
Yep, looks like we've got
And,
some
we're
safety.
grabbing a lot of... Indeed.
So we got another kind of puzzle there where you have to turn the power on. And then when you would be like, hey, I'm ready to leave. Look who decides to show up.
Okay, guys, he did the early grenade strat here, where you throw the grenade at the middle of the room to trigger this door to pass down early. It's kind of hard. Well, the way it works, the boss kind of is actually standing on top of the roof at the middle of the room once the arm comes down. It's kind of weird, but the grenade kind of causes some damage and causes him come through the door early.
Yeah, and missing that grenade throw is pretty much an instant reset. If you're running, if you're running optimally,
you have to wait. Yeah, you have to wait like, I don't know, how long is it? 30 seconds? Until he comes through the door.
It's something crazy like that, like 30 or 45 seconds. It's if you're going for a PB and you've already got a run, I would say probably like a sub-hour run, and you miss that, it's pretty much. Well, I'd say with Claire, since her run's a little bit longer. I'd say if you're going for like sub 55-minute run with Claire, missing that grenade toss is pretty much a reset.
Yeah.
Oh, uh-oh, the spark shot miss. That's all right though. As long as this boss goes down, there is plenty of spark shot ammo in the next section of the game.
Are you gonna use one flash here or no? No. Saving the flash. He used one flash here already.
I'm so used to looking at my SRT and seeing the health to make sure that it's good. You I guess you just gotta guess on console. You just have to believe that you have them at 50% and then give it a shot.
I guess there's a slight hint. You can see actually the eye color change a little bit.
Yeah, that's
when
true.
He's at the right percentage.
That is true.
But basically, this fight, you need to get him under 50% health for the crane to one-shot him. So you need to do enough damage from him to die. There's no other way to kill him. He needs to die from the crane, but has to be under 50%.
Right. That was a fantastic one cycle, though.
Indeed, indeed. So we saw one flash used there. And I think he picked up a second one back again. I think the flashes will be used for the third section of the run, where we're entering soon here, which is the nest.
Oh yes. Almost there, Sherry. Best part of the game.
Oh, indeed, indeed.
It's the best and the worst part of the game. It's the best part of the game because it means you're almost done. But then after that.
But there is the worst part of the run coming up also.
Oh man. I don't even remember what we used to do before just YOLOing that. What did we used to do? Like shoot flame rounds or something?
Well,
I don't even remember.
If we go way back, we didn't use spark shot even.
Yeah, if you go back far enough, there was the grenade launcher route where you used acid rounds.
Yeah, we were only using grenade launcher, and back then, since we had a grenade launcher, we had a lot of flame rounds, so we could just kill them. They like died. If you hit them on the head with a flame round, they die to one hit.
Yeah.
So but we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, so we'll talk about it once we get there.
I like the dance that's happening right there, though.
Yeah.
Little Sherry, Claire. I would say like mommy daughter, but obviously that's not the case here. But close enough.
Yeah.
Little mommy daughter dance going on.
So the goal in this is, I mean, Sherry's been infected. We need to find a cure, so we just gotta go through the nest and figure out how to get the cure.
It's great. Like you find out that she's infected in the sewers, and all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, there's a lab here. How convenient. We can cure her. It's great. That's a rough tackle. That is, ooh.
You could see him do a little bit earlier pistol manipulation, shooting the door, which causes one zombie quite soon here to usually go towards the door, which makes him a bit easier pass by. But let's see if the manip even worked.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. I was playing around with this manipulation a few weeks before RE3 came out, and I could just not like. I was able to get it consistently from save files, but between save files, it seems like the placement of that zombie and whether it's going to work or not is already determined before you load into the level from what it looked like.
Yeah. That looked like the manipulation didn't work, so the zombie boss here behind the door.
Yeah. Sometimes, depending on how generous with the spark shot you would like to be, sometimes, depending on RNG, you can actually have an extra spark shot round or two that it's highly encouraged if you don't get the good RNG to use the spark shot against that zombie, because otherwise you just end up in a situation where he grabs you and it's 7 seconds, or you use the spark shot and it's like maybe a second and a half that you lose for using the spark shot.
But I'm pretty sure, like, we're more mainly PC runners, so we're thinking about like, okay, it's fine to use spark shot, but on console, spark shot is actually the main way to fight the next boss.
Yeah, that is
so
true.
You need as many shots as you can, so it's a little bit different here. So it might be. We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I know with Leon, like a lot of the Leon runs that I've seen, the flamethrower just torches everything. Like if you don't go into G3, you pretty much use the flamethrower the entire time because it just melts G3. But we don't have that with Claire, so the spark shot's going to be our weapon of choice.
So in this section, we're again introduced to new enemies, the IVs, which are basically if they grab you, if you don't use a defensive item, you insta die. So optimally, you don't want to get grabbed. And if you're doing optimal strats, you don't have any extra defensive items to use even here. So you want to stagger them by shooting them into the kind of orange bulbs they have on them.
Right. And that puzzle that was just on there with the keypad, that one also does not have RNG in it. It's the same solution every time. The best way that I found to memorize it was to treat the numpad rather than looking at the pictures. Just act like it's like a 10 key keypad. And the solution in the A scenarios is 3 1 2 3 and 2 0 6 7 to solve that for both keypad entries to open up the hatch as well as to open up this room. This one is
also this puzzle has ruined many runs.
Oh man!
Because the solution on this puzzle is always the same, but sometimes you might. So it's red, green, blue, and repeat, red, green, blue, and so on. But if you accidentally click the green at the very beginning, you have to solve it manually, like somehow figure out how to make it.
Yeah, you just gotta figure it out.
Into the normal order. And good luck, you just lost the run. You're gonna spend like 2 minutes to try to figure out, wait, how do you do this without actually the preset?
Yeah, sometimes you'll just accidentally swap them, and I think it's about 3 seconds time lost to just do a swap back and then resume the puzzle as normal. But yeah, if you accidentally fill it with the wrong thing, it's pretty much over. Good luck.
Yeah. Okay, so we're entering here the lap liquor section. So we'll have to see if he's gonna do save strats here.
It looked like the grenade hit the ceiling. I don't know if those zombies died. Yeah. That's gonna be rough. If
the grenade is supposed to kill like 3 zombies there, I think.
Right. Yeah. There's 3 zombies piled up there, and if you put the grenade close enough to them, all 3 will die. But it looked like that grenade might have bounced off the ceiling, so I'm not sure if they all died.
Yeah.
That's gonna be. I'm interested to see what this room is gonna look like now that. So the signal modulator there is how you turn the power on to access some of the other areas of the lab. So now that they've got the signal modulator, they have to backtrack a little bit to go to the areas where the signal modulator is required to gain entry.
Indeed.
And one of those rooms happens to be the room that has both liquors in it.
Yeah.
How convenient, right?
So now we have 2 liquors.
Yeah,
maybe a zombie, yes.
Great start so far.
Indeed.
Very nice start. Only halfway there, though.
Running here. That is incredibly risky. Or is he using a flash here going back?
We're about to find out. Let's see.
Wow.
Okay, took a hit there, but has health, so we should be okay.
Yeah.
Yep, there it is. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Ouch. That's rough. This room is the hardest room in the game. There's no doubt about it. Like this is 100%. Like if you don't execute even down to the pixel accurately, you'll pretty much fail. And even if you do execute down to the pixel accurately, there's still a chance that you're gonna fail.
Yeah. Like that section is already hard enough with the 2 lickers, but the grenade failed and didn't kill all the zombies that were supposed to. So now that is even harder.
Oh yeah.
But I think he's gonna use a flash here going out, maybe.
Yeah, I would definitely think that that's the best way, especially since that zombie. Well, he's a crawler, so he might. Oh no, that's like the worst thing that could happen. No.
Oh no.
That grenade is like, it's in all seriousness. Oh no. Okay, at least the flash grenade broke him out. You can actually cheese a lot of things in this game with flash grenades, because if you're getting grabbed by a zombie and you've already thrown the flash grenade, you can actually perform what's called a grab cancel, where mid grab it'll stop, the zombie will stop what it's doing and you'll be able to just run away scot-free without having to use another one defensively. We actually have a strategy for that in Leon's run, where you'll throw a flash in the parking garage and you'll shoot a zombie in the face beforehand, and you'll actually get to break out with the grab cancel, and it's a little bit faster than just running through. Because otherwise you get staggered by the flash grenade.
So much for the weed infestation.
But yeah, there's not too many IVs left anymore. This is pretty much the only section where we have the IVs. And we don't actually, I don't think there's any safety heals left anymore on the inventory. So it's just gonna be a perfect execution here.
Yeah, he's got some defensive items, so if he gets grabbed, he might be able to get away relatively easily, but I'm not sure at this point how heavily utilized the knife is going to be, considering that, you know, as you mentioned before, the spark shot's probably going to be the hero of this next fight.
So I was trying to do the risky run by, but
yep, there is a way to YOLO the IVs in here, but you want to look specifically for the IV that he got grabbed by. If you turn the corner and that IV is like, it looks like he's like lurching forward, then that's a go ahead to give it a shot. But if you don't see that, more often than not, it's not worth it to try to go for the YOLO.
Indeed. So we just cleared the second wing of the nest. We're heading for the third and last one. And it's just gonna be one puzzle, well, one little bit of a puzzle, and then we're gonna head for the next boss fight. It's a little bit of a sigh of relief before the fights happen.
So one thing that I'm noticing, especially since the runner here picked up so many item pouches, is that I don't think we've actually seen an item box drop at all. Oh, the accidental videotape pickup.
Oh no!
But this is a part where in some runs this is a very important inventory management spot, especially on hardcore, because you have access to that item box right there. It's one of the most convenient item boxes in the game, that if you're running the optimal route and you don't have the inventory space to be able to pick up things later, that's a great opportunity to store items to free up inventory space for later. But since extra pouches were picked up and we're not on hardcore, this is the ideal situation. Until we
that even when all the menuing on console is a little bit harder also, so I think the pouches just, they kind of make sense also.
Right, a little bit of a detour here, it looks like, for some for a red herb there to make the full heal plus the defensive boost as well. When you combine a green and a red and a blue herb, you get a defensive boost, and it actually is pretty advantageous. As far as the amount of damage it reduces, it's a pretty significant reduction that it could be with this fight, with how many directions this fight can take with bad RNG. Could be a very useful investment.
Yeah. So here's the spark shot is gonna be the key. We're gonna have to shoot all the eyes to get a lot of damage in.
Ooh, that's not good.
One of the shots got cancelled by the leap. So if you don't have if you're not looking towards the boss where you're aiming, it will cancel out the shot. So the boss kind of leaped away and it cancelled one of the shots.
Yeah, field of
We
view
can see
is
the
very
usage of
important
flash
when it comes
here.
to the spark shot.
Yeah.
There it is.
So we
Yeah.
can see some flash usage here. To make sure we hit the shots.
So it looks like a bit of a late action on the knife there, but that's okay. Still an early fight. Anything could happen.
Dude. Just gonna head for the second phase now. We're gonna go pick up some more spark shot ammo that can be found in this room.
Yep.
Indeed,
There it
we go.
is.
And
So
now there's 3 more eyes to shoot.
Yep, we've got 3 more eyes to shoot. So on PC, you would actually completely skip this phase. Ooh! Nothing a dagger to the face can't fix, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, on PC, you would actually completely skip this phase, being able to knife and get enough damage throughput with the knife to cancel this out. But with lower frame rate and the knife not being as viable, the second phase is pretty much inevitable at low FPS.
Dude. We're gonna have to see if he I don't think on console they can kill this boss before he grabs the wall.
I don't think so either. It may have been done on maybe an Xbox One X or a PS4 Pro, but I don't think 60 FPS is really enough to do it consistently.
Yeah. So this usually means the boss enters the third phase where he goes grab the wall, and now it's just really just a finishing touch, try to finish him off. And, I think he has 2 more grenades, so let's hope that is enough, because that... Oh, it's 1 more spark shot and 2 grenades. Let's see if that's enough to finish him off.
Very nice.
Okay.
Yeah, and his DA might have been a little bit low since he has taken so much damage this run, too.
Yeah.
So
Actually, since, well, good thing that there's so many grenades left, because the next boss fight is... Grenades are the king in this
pretty
next
much
fight.
required.
Yes. So we're gonna have like back-to-back boss fights coming up here. Just a little bit of a running action here before the next one happening again.
Yeah, a lot of this last section is just a lot of it's just movement, really. If you're in caution, obviously you'll save a little bit more time. But I'm curious to see if this speedrunner has some manners for Sherry. Because we've got the door meme that's coming up.
Oh yes,
Let's see what kind of a I would say gentleman, but since we're playing as Claire here, it's not really what kind of how ladylike we are with having proper door holding manners.
Yes. So there's a thing which was kind of discovered surprisingly late in the speed running of this game, but you can hold the door open for Sherry to save about a second.
Yep.
But
I think
we do
sub 50 had already happened. I'm pretty sure before that was discovered. Like that came way after that.
Yeah. And I think it was actually came from console runners also that discovered the holding the door.
Oh, really? Interesting. Well, maybe since we have a console runner here, maybe we'll see it in action.
Yeah, we will see. We will see. The important 1 second time save.
Oh, yes. So if you have a grenade, or like if you're running New Game Plus with a rocket launcher, if you fire anything that causes a stagger from your character, all the dialogue gets skipped. So you can actually just be like, yeah, Sherry, be quiet in this section, just by throwing a grenade or shooting the rocket launcher.
No.
Which, there's very few cases in this game where you can take advantage of that, but RE3 has like a 3-second time save by shooting the grenade launcher and causing a dialogue skip. Even on New Game, you don't even have to have the rocket launcher for it. There it is! There it is!
Oh, there it is! Amazing.
Waited a little too long,
but
yeah,
a little bit too long, yeah. He made sure
A gentleman.
the door stayed open, okay? Yes, a true gentleman.
A gentle lady, right?
Yeah. It's time to run, which means we leave Sherry behind and we run fast, guys.
Yep. This
Sure,
room
we'll
is
be-
free
we'll be
for
fine.
Claire, but Leon not so much. With Leon, it's very important that you at least have a handgun round and then maybe a shotgun shell or another handgun round just for safety. Especially when I spent a lot of time on hardcore before RE3 came out, and far too often did I find myself after G3 having literally no ammo, and that room is almost impossible without something. At least like one handgun round, and then maybe you can YOLO the last Ivy, but that room is very, very hard if you are left without resources after G3 with Leon.
In this section, you just gotta wait for Sherry to open the door. And there's a couple of IVs dropping out here, so...
Yeah, and technically you don't have to kill the Ivies. You just have to evade them for long enough and not get grabbed. And it's usually free.
Yeah.
We usually have extra spark shot rounds on PC, so we just fry them with the spark shot. But...
Yeah.
Again,
you just use whatever you have left.
Right.
Because you're gonna get a new weapon coming up for this next boss fight here. And
it'll make pretty quick work of the final boss.
Indeed.
You hanging in there?
So 2 grenades, that's pretty healthy for this boss.
We're almost out of here.
Yeah. So basically going into this boss fight, you just wanna have 1 knife, grenades, and then you're gonna get our last weapon here.
Our luxury weapon.
Yeah. The good old minigun.
What are you doing?
And it should be enough for the boss fight, even on any difficulty pretty much. You can, I think even on hardcore you could basically kill this boss with just a minigun if you just are accurate enough.
Right. I'm pretty sure on my playthrough in hardcore, that's like all I had left. Like I had used everything. Yeah. And I was like, you know, this is before we were speedrunning it. So like I had no idea what I was doing, but here we go.
Yeah.
So the goal with this boss is you want to pop as many eyes as possible. The only way to finish this boss off is to pop a certain number of eyes. So
I think it was counted like on standard, it's 45 eyes you need to pop until the boss fight is basically done.
Interesting, gotcha. So a bit of a different strategy here compared to PC, and that grenade toss, I'm not sure if it was intentional that was thrown early, but normally you would wait another second to throw the grenade to knock him off the wall.
Yeah.
I think it might have been early.
I think it just might have been it might have been just a mistake. It looked like he was timing it for to knock him off the wall, but
right.
Alright, it's almost done. You can see their eyes are red now, so it means he's almost dead.
Yep, he's getting close for sure.
Some more eyes.
The darker shade of red those eyes get, the more aggressive his attacks get too. So you can see he's kind of doing these furious swipes, but there goes the drop. And at this point, it's a guaranteed kill as long as you're not too close to him, because he'll start popping eyes on his own.
Yeah, so you get to speed it up by shooting the eyes at the very end here.
Right. And there it is. GG.
And there it is.
You don't want to be too hasty skipping these last cutscenes. You can get soft locked.
Yes. I've heard some tales of good runs dying by skipping these cutscenes too quickly.
Yeah, you don't have to wait this long, but I think they've said it's never happened to me, but I think it's like 2 or 3 seconds you want to wait, but like every time a cutscene plays.
Yeah.
Let's see the final time here.
That's it. Indeed.
$59.28. It's a sub hour. GG. So got the S plus.
Nice.
Well
Indeed.
done.
The first big goal is to get that sub 1 hour, and obviously it means that you've already spent some time learning the run, and it's a great first milestone for the speedrun itself.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for having us on IGN's channel to react to a speedrun from you guys. Once again, my name is Hazeblade. You guys can find me at twitch.tv/Hazeblade, and we'll have Trey close things out with us.
I am so I'm Trey, but my nickname is 7rayD. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter also under 7rayD.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having us, and we look forward to seeing you guys on Twitch. Take care.